Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the Coach, from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Payoff.
Jeff, we are covering the self-proclaimed Mr. In Your House, Mick Foley. I don't know if you've heard him say that before, but he's been saying it on his new podcast recently. And then he rattles through. He's like, well, I've had a lot of great In Your House matches. This is probably the best match of his career. Had some really good matches with Undertaker. And so, yeah, during this era, he had a lot of good In Your House matches. So anyways, before we get started, first and foremost, how the hell are you doing?
I wish I was Mr. Something like, we got two Misters in this matches, it's so like,
Mr. In Your House versus Mr. WrestleMania.
And, Mr. Chores around the house. That's about all I am nowadays. And so, just kind of, just terrible.
Well,
so,
you have kids. You'll be like, you couldn't be less relevant. No kidding. Last night, I'm sitting there, I'm eating dinner. My wife says to me, "How was your day?" I said, "Are you being serious?" And she's like, "Yeah, why?" I was like, "That's the first time you've asked me that in 2 years." She said, "Well, how was it?" She's like, "You don't ask me." I was like, I don't know. Okay.
So yeah, what do you have to do for her now? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So
am I in trouble? Is everything okay?
Yeah, something's happening.
What do you know that I don't know?
Right. Yeah. Now this is an exciting one. I know last week's match was just absolutely terrible. And so it was time to do something that's a little bit better, something we can look forward to here. We got some good ones lined up, and this is kind of the start of that. And so also it had been a little while since we'd done a Shawn Michaels match. There's a good story to this one. And so it just made a lot of sense with this one. Of course, too, I feel like there's always a rumor in the air of we're about to get another NXT In Your House. And so, I'm always a big fan of that. Bring back the set. It's Daddy H's show again, so let's make it happen and kind of do that type of stuff. And so, yeah, this will be exciting.
Agreed. I'm looking forward to it. This is, this is like one of my favorite matches. Now, granted, I haven't seen it in a little while, but this is a great match. So yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. Even Shawn Michaels will say it's one of the best matches of his career. So,
it's on most of the best of lists. So it was time to cover this one.
Good. Well, let's get into the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
So, like Jeff said, we're at Mind Games, which is we're in the second year of In Your Houses. They started back in '95. This is September 22nd, 1996. We're in Philly. So obviously keep in mind there's going to be a lot of ECW fans in the audience, which it probably ties in with why we're, having a pretty brutal main event, although some of it's just the fact that it's Mick Foley. But we're coming off of Shawn Michaels and Vader at SummerSlam. And I think Shawn had a little chip on his shoulders going into this show. And Mick Foley, man, he said when he came in, there was no guarantee that he was going to, be anything. It was a 1-year contract. Everyone thinks that these guys are all signed to multi-year big money contracts. He had a nothing contract and had to prove himself, which again, he quickly did. So there were 4 dark matches on this show. I guess one was the free-for-all match, which was Savio Vega defeating Marty Jannetty in a singles match in 5 minutes. Just crazy, man. Marty Jannetty, part of the New Rocker tag team, doing nothing. And then, his tag team partners headlining everything. So kind of crazy. After the show went off the air, we had 3 dark matches. Jake Roberts defeating Triple H. Farouk early Farouk when he was still accompanied with Sonny, defeating Mark Mero with Sable. So that'd be a fun match to watch. You had Sable and Sonny both at ringside. Those two never really interacted, did they?
I had forgot the Farouk and Sonny days too. Yeah.
But they never interacted. It's not like they ever feuded or anything. It's, Sonny was out not long after this, and Sable became a big star. And then the final match of the night, another dark match, Sid defeating Vader in a singles match. And again, man, Vader, you're thinking he's going to win the title and he's going to have a 3-match trilogy with Shawn, and that did not happen. All right, the actual show saw Savio Vega defeat Justin Bradshaw in a 7-minute Caribbean strap match. Jose Lothario defeating Jim Cornette in 56 seconds. Owen Hart and the British Bulldog defeating the tag team champions, who were Billy Gunn and Bart Gunn, Smoking Guns, with Sonny. So I didn't realize Sonny was managing Farouk and the Smoking Guns at that point. Kind of a odd little combination. Obviously, they weren't a faction or anything, but Mark Henry is going to defeat Jerry Lawler by submission in 5 minutes. I believe that's his debut, his pay-per-view debut. I think he came in feuding with Lawler to start. Undertaker's going to defeat Goldust in a final curtain match. I do not know what that was. And then the main event, Shawn, Mankind, Jose Lothario with Shawn, Paul Bearer with Mankind. A lot of managers on this card.
Yeah,
Bradshaw was accompanied by Uncle Zebekiah. Goldust was accompanied by Marlena. So, yeah, made it fun. But, I've said this on some of these In Your House cards. If you went to this show, you got the future JBL, Owen Hart Bulldog, Smoking Guns, Mark Henry, Lawler Taker, Goldust Michaels, Mankind, Roberts, Triple H, Farouk, Mero. Okay, here's something crazy. Who is not in the Hall of Fame? I mean, all these guys are either Hall of Famers or will be Hall of Famers. I mean, think about this. I believe Sid will someday be a Hall of Famer. Vader's a Hall of Famer. Farouk's a Hall of Famer. I believe Mero will someday be a Hall of Famer. Sonny, Hall of Famer. Cornette, not, but he will be. Sable, don't know if she will be or not, but Hall of Fame career for sure. Roberts, Hall of Famer. Triple H will be. Shawn's a Hall of Famer. Foley's a Hall of Famer. Bear's a Hall of Famer. Taker, Goldust will be someday. Henry, I believe, already is. Lawler is. Owen won't be, but he's a Hall of Famer. Bulldog. I could see Billy Gunn already with DX, but who knows? Maybe the Smoking Guns someday. JBL. I mean, kind of crazy, right? A lot of talent on this show.
Even the dark matches.
Yeah, really, a really fun show. It's fun to see. So, storyline standpoint, I know there wasn't a lot to this build, kind of just threw these guys together, but how do we get there?
Well, I'll start. Your wrestling history is correct. Trivia for the day.
My memory serves me right. Hey, I've told my wife this. I wish I put this wrestling knowledge to better use for our family. I can't help it at this point. I wish I knew as much as I know, or I wouldn't say no. I wish I remembered as much about other things as wrestling. I wish my history recall. I wish things I learned in school. Don't remember shit. But I can tell you about the build to In Your House Mind Games. It's sick.
Hey, we all got to be good for something, and so this was his. That was his debut match, and then the best I can find about a final curtain match is it is a retirement match. So it's like the final curtain for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so let us know if we're remembering this wrong. We're going to have to, obviously we haven't gone back, but we can go back. But all right. So anyway, so this one, like you said, In Your House on this one. So we'll start with Mankind on this one. So debuting, not debuting, but April 1st, 1996, it was debuting the day after WrestleMania, taking on and beating Bob Holly, and then very quickly getting into the feud with The Undertaker. And so you had them kind of, in each other's matches, interfering. Of course, this is post the SummerSlam Boiler Room Brawl, which that will be one we'll cover one day here. And so that was such a big part of it, is some of his promos were, of course, in the Boiler Room. And so then kind of having that match. And so that one, they had to get the urn from Paul Bearer after the Boiler Room Brawl. And so great match on that one. And that you looked like Undertaker had won, but then you had Paul Bearer refusing to hand him in the urn, aligning himself with Mankind, and the two of them not being together for Undertaker and Paul Bearer for first time in any of us knew. And so, which was kind of crazy. And so you then had Paul Bearer and acting as the manager for Mankind, Uncle Paul, which I don't know why I forgot that random fact, calling him Uncle Paul, and becoming the number.
So stupid. So funny.
It really was, but it worked. And so, but him becoming the number one contender because he beat Taker at SummerSlam. Like I said, in that Boiler Room Brawl. So Michaels on this one, of course, 1996, you had him returning at the Royal Rumble. He ended up winning this one for the second year in a row. And then, of course, having as we discussed, and we will eventually do the classic Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Iron Man 60-minute match. And so he's coming off of that. You also have him coming off of like this show taking place in September, and May is when you had the curtain call with the Click. And so we're after that as well, too. That SummerSlam 1996, you had Michaels retaining the title over Vader. And so, again, this was kind of Michaels, riding sky high. Both guys really, Mankind getting the push here. Michaels is Shawn Michaels. He's having a great year at this point, and so no reason to discredit that. He was number one on the PWI, spoiler there, and so really just tight little. We got a number one contender. That's it, and we're just gonna kind of get into it and go from there.
Well, I'm pumped to cover this. That. Love both these guys. Love this match. Can't wait to watch it again. It's been a while. Our 20-minute mark of Mind Games. That's season 2, episode 5 of In Your House Mind Games. Hour 20. I'm excited.
Jeff, you ready? Let's do this.
Take a big swig of water there, buddy.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready to talk through it.
All right, it's time for the payoff.
Oh, it's time for the payoff.
Is he defending it for the very first, but actually the last time?
Everyone on their feet. HBK's over, man.
Mankind. He doesn't even know what's going on with all these people.
Kurt Hennig on commentary. Love that.
You can see there's a woman. It was just before we got started. She has a sign that says "number one click chick," which I appreciate the breaking of kayfabe there. Like that's good stuff.
Look at that jacket.
That's his fancy jacket. I like that jacket. Yeah.
Great. Holy runner
like
around
Shawn
here.
Michaels is saying goodbye to the fans, to tell you the truth. Well, he does seem very, very nervous in that interview.
I'll tell you, I love, and I think they do it, obviously it happens now. I just love the big match feel of bring both guys to the middle of the ring, hold the title belt out, might make introduction. They did not do that here, but I just like my title matches. I like both guys standing there holding up the title.
Yeah, a nice little thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it was Mr. Perfect on commentary. I think.
Yeah, he's with Vince.
Yep.
We got the gold dust, gold all over. I remember that in this match. Like they had they're
already covered in it. Yep.
Yeah, and it only got worse. So both guys outside the ring,
big spot. Yep.
Michaels.
You hear the
ECW chant. Yep. I remember too.
This is like the gnarly Mankind where he's punching himself, pulling out his hair. He's got a bald spot in there.
And this was, and I remember, that was a fun spot there. He tried to rip up the pad, and then Michaels kicked him, like drop kicked him through it, and now he's like stomping on him under the pad. That's a cool spot.
Yeah, really unique little spot there.
Yeah, I remember being freaked out by Mankind at this point.
Oh, what's he doing here?
Ooh. What a crossbody.
Kind of crossbody. Yep. Good stuff. Yeah, I was freaked out by Mankind at this point. I was, I didn't give a shit. I was in middle school or whatever it was. I was still young. And so, yeah, I didn't know any better. And so the click, no dirt sheets at that point. And so, man, Michael's kind of throwing Foley onto the ground there, kind of spiking him a little bit. Ooh, right on the concrete. Yep. I remember that's something that's like so vivid. I remember that they don't do anymore. Like you would have thought a spot on the concrete was going to kill somebody. Like they did such a good job of building that at the time. Like you thought for sure that if they were doing a spot on the outside with the concrete, like if that pad got tore up, oh man, like it was the end of the world for whoever was on the receiving end of that. So back in the ring at this point, I like the different styles here.
Yes, the contrast.
Yeah, I think, are we getting enough of that nowadays?
No, we're not, because, and here's the thing is like, you know, it's funny because we, like, you know, the quote unquote indie guys, right, often get bagged on. But I will say, like, I don't like all my wrestlers looking the same. Like, I don't like Shawn Michaels, right? 6'1", smaller build, longer hair. I love Shawn Michaels in this era because no one else really looked like him. Now it's like, you know, everyone looks like the Young Bucks and Adam Cole and Omega. I mean, like they all kind of look the same. It's like long hair, 5-star wrestlers, you know, not big builds, all around 6 feet tall. Like the beauty of some of the best matches and some of the best feuds is the differences, is the contrast. Steve Austin looked a lot different than The Rock. He looked a lot different than Vince McMahon. You know, Shawn Michaels and Diesel, great matches. Why? Totally different. Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, Undertaker and Mankind, Triple H and Steve Austin. I mean, you go through all these great matches and you're like, well, they're a lot different. They dress different. They wrestle different. They look different. Their hair was different. You know, everything was different. And so again, like that's what makes it enjoyable. You know, like some of those Mysterio matches, not that the cruiserweight matches weren't great, but man, watching him against some of the bigger guys sometimes can be even more fun.
Yeah,
so I like that. I like that contrast, you know?
That's what I was just, even like CM Punk and Cena, like you get some of these guys.
Yeah,
that like,
I mean, Lesnar against CM Punk, you know, like that was fun. It was just, the contrasting styles is really good. That's what I want.
And, you know, we all know like the Warrior and Savage and Hogan, like, you know, that was, you know, the look. We all know the
look. I mean,
look.
just like the iconic WrestleMania 6 stare down, Warrior, Hogan, like they just look different. And it was like, it's larger than life. I mean, Foley just looks so much different during this era. And you believed it. You know, you're like, this guy's nuts. It wasn't, he wasn't a garbage man, but he was just like, like you believed it.
Yeah, and so we've got a lot of different action here. And so right now you got some ground and pound coming out from Michaels.
Mankind trying to get himself to a safety position. You talk about spunk. You talk about spirit.
And Michaels had some high flying stuff in there, but you know, Mankind kind of really taking the beating at this point, which is just, and they're kind of getting a stiff shot in, and so it is just interesting. Yeah, and for me, I'm with you. It's almost more enjoyable. Like you don't necessarily know where it's going to go, type thing. Yeah.
Man, I guess it was Goldust's entrance, but man, there's just that shit everywhere, and it just gets all over them. Oh, so we got the table coming out.
Spanish table. Yep. Trouble.
Old school table.
Yep.
God, it's just a hell of a match. And the
casket.
Casket, yeah. The Mankind casket, I guess.
Yep. It's still on the outside of the ring, too. Sounded like hurt like hell. Yep.
And remember, these spots, you didn't see these spots back then. Like, I mean, again, it's still entertaining now, but like at the time, it was like these guys are killing each other.
So I was looking at the kind of, there's a lot of different lists on, I was looking at best in your house matches and stuff like that. And so the Michaels Undertaker seems to be number one on most of these lists. And then you've got like Heart Foundation and the Canadian Stampede match on that one with Stone Cold, Shamrock, LOD and all, or Goldust. This match is like, top 5 and even top 3 on some of these lists. Like, we're about halfway through it at this point. If that, like, do you think this ranks higher? Like, they got this higher than Michaels Diesel, Rock Triple H, the Buried Alive match, which is coming after this one, the Inferno match, which it's definitely higher than the Inferno match. But you also got Brett and Diesel. Like, do you rank this? Where are you putting this one?
I do. And the only thing that stopped this from being a 5-star match is the ending.
Right. Yep. And we'll talk about that as we get closer to it. Yeah.
That's the only issue this thing had. And this is just a ridiculous match.
That's what I figured you were going to say. Yeah. And that one. But yeah, this one, and I have not seen this one in a very long time. And so these guys, so now you've got really Mankind, Foley working stiff at this point, kind of going after Michael. So both guys, he's kind of selling the knee injury too after the kind of suplex onto the steps on the outside here. So that's a nice little storytelling going on there.
Do you think Mick Foley's career is appreciated, overrated, underrated? Where do you put him?
Personally, I think it's underrated. I think in the sense that we don't focus enough on some of these types of matches. Did he have one of the most incredible spots ever in wrestling? Yes. And we talk about that a lot. But then also, like, we forget, like, some of the other, like, he managed to do 3 characters and make us care about every single one of them and make them distinguished. He made us, he's got these, like, matches like this where he would go out and, like, it is literally shocking how he didn't, like, he's not one of the wrestlers that died in the ring. Like, some of the spots that he put himself through, and I think that he is where he needs to be in terms of getting recognized for his giant moments in wrestling. And that's absolutely fair. But I think that, like, he is overlooked and underrated in, like, these types of matches. It's just not talked about enough, in my opinion. You agree?
I completely agree. It's funny because him getting thrown off the cell in a lot of ways hurts him, because it's like people remember that so much. They forget the Taker matches were great. This match was great. His matches against The Rock were fantastic. He had a couple really good matches against Steve Austin. His Vader feud was great. Triple H. I mean, you look at this, and it was like, again, some of the stuff he did in WCW was underrated and really good. But you look at this run. This is like 96, 97, 90. He had this good little run here where, ton of good matches, ton of good feuds, very, very wide range from a character standpoint. This and the Cactus Jack and the Dude Love, and arguably even the just the Mick Foley, just the person. So you've like 4 different things that he's done, but it's just crazy, man.
Over his career too, who didn't he work with? And that, like, I'm not saying, like, that's not a trivia question. Like,
he wrestled with a lot of guys. Yeah.
He wrestled everybody. Yeah. And he had incredible match. Like, you look at the, what was it? The Royal Rumble Triple H match. You look at the Randy Orton match. Like, you've got, Steve Austin Edge match. Yeah. You've got all these different things where, there he's selling himself there at that point. What do you have, like a knife or something? Kind of stabbing himself. He had all these incredible matches with people in a long career that, like, hard to overlook any of that. So, like, you could point to any one of those matches of, like, ramble off a mat, one of those, like, what do I need to watch type thing. Really, any of those, like, top matches were incredible.
Yeah, but not everyone has, 10 different opponents they had great matches with.
Right.
Obviously this and Vader and Taker and Austin and Triple H and The Rock. That's 6 right there. He had excellent matches with
all Hall of Famers.
Orton, Edge. That's 8 right there that he had excellent matches and a really strong feud with. Now, I'm probably leaving someone out, but yeah, it's unbelievable. So I actually think he's underrated. I think, your all-time top 15 maybe which may not sound like a lot, but I mean, there's a lot. There's that's some pretty rarefied air to say top 15 of all time to ever do this. I think he's that high.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. I might even think top 10, and that's you putting him on Rushmore and stuff like that.
Starts getting hard in top 10.
It really does. And so, and even then you could say your list and then the next day it changes. And so you've got Foley working, both working stiff now. Foley kind of got a little ground and pound here with Michaels. I say slowed the pace down a little bit, but in a good way, in that he's just working Michaels real hard. And so Michael's doing a good job of selling as well too.
I don't love the Mankind outfit with the knee pads on the outside. It looks kind of stupid. I mean, would have probably put those inside the pants, but
I give him props though for shaving the bald spot though with under the mask. So
can you imagine being married to him?
Oh man,
being this into the character, like coming back, head shaves, thumbtacks in him. Oh.
Well, that's I always think Renee always does a good job of talking with Moxley and stuff like that, and like she's always great to watch, like her live tweet when Mox has just a really crazy match or something like that, and so and kind of dealing with that, and so but yeah, just kind of seeing how those types of things how they play out and people's reactions and stuff like that. I want to focus a second. The man on the outside here, Paul Bearer. Where are you ranking him in regards to the managers here? Is he who's he better than? Is he top? Where are you putting him in your rankings here?
Man, I mean, to me, like I'll say I think Paul Bearer was a better manager than Jimmy Hart.
I could see that. Yep. I've got a list here. This is the
so that I'd say he's definitely top 10 of all time. He's probably in the 6 to 10 range.
Yep.
I mean, all time, Heyman, Heenan, Hart, Cornette.
You've got. I got, and you're actually right on here. So
I'm not going to put guys Freddie Blassie. Dude, I didn't watch wrestling then. I don't know. Maybe he might be on the list, but some of the real old guys. I just wasn't a fan of. But what else do you have there?
They've got Jim Cornette is on this list. So the list, you got Bobby the Brain is number 1. Jim Cornette is number 2.
Okay.
Captain Lou, number 3.
Yeah.
Can't forget Captain Lou. Jimmy Hart's number 4. Heyman is number 5. You got Classy Freddie at 6. 7 is Paul Bearer. 8 is JJ Dillon. Again, that predates you and I. 9, can't forget Sensational Sherry. And, of course, 10, the lovely and wonderful Miss Elizabeth.
Oh, I'm putting Sherry over J.J. Dillon for sure. Sherry. The only knock on Sherry, I'd say, is she wasn't, a lot of times she was like a mid-card manager, she wasn't, she was managing Savage, but not always in the main event. Yep. Heenan just felt like Heenan was in the main event of every show for about 6 years, managing, someone in a main event spot. Oh,
well, because I remember Sherry with $1 Million Man and Jake the Snake and stuff like that, which, I hate saying they're mid-carders, but at that time, yeah, they were. So they're a tough spot there. You got Mankind trying to go for a running knee with Michaels' back. So much gold. Jesus. From Gold Dust. Michaels was against the steps and then rolled out of the way, and Mankind just hitting his knee against the steel steps there.
It's Foley. He just, when he was in really good shape, it's just his weight looked so much better. He moved around so much better. I always thought his best stuff was when he was just in really good shape.
Yeah, he is in real good shape for this one. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Again, so they've done some good, I'm going to say some good storytelling here.
And again, we alluded to Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, it's just a brutal match. You can tell both guys, they're just
It's brutal, and they've been working his knee the entire match, which they've done a very good job of like selling it. And they keep going back to it, which not enough of that, I don't think nowadays, but I think they're doing a good job right now. Oh, yep. There you go. Big power slam there. Michael's getting them.
One thing we didn't get much of, or maybe even at all, but like I think they may have wrestled on like Raw, and maybe we could find that because I'm sure it was a good match, but like a really good like Bret Hart versus Mick Foley match, like with Bret Hart as a babyface, could have been really fun as well.
Yeah, I think. Oh, and here you go. Another scary spot here. Mankind getting tied up in between the ropes. He got twisted real hard here. Yep. And so Mankind getting the mandible claw, and Michaels trying to.
He had the mandible claw.
So that table's still sitting out, but they haven't done anything with it.
Yeah, Paul Bearer, kind of trying to, they're cheering on, rooting on Mankind to get up here.
How about that Logan Paul frog splash onto the table?
How about that, man? Yeah, you always got to wonder that distance sometimes. Like, it doesn't take much to slip, and that's all it takes. And so there's a mandible claw again on the outside here. Michael's just clawing back at him. Oh, and then throwing him into the guardrail. Good move there. Spanish announcers spilling out of their chairs.
It's a little bit too close.
Have you been listening to Foley's new podcast?
I have not, actually. I'm behind. I listened to like one episode, and I'm behind on all my podcasts.
It's tough, man. There's just so many like podcasts out there. Like it's tough to, stay current on everything. I mean, especially when a couple of theirs have been like 3 hours long. It's like, how many hours are you listening a day? Most of them have been good. I fear that it could run its course sooner than later. He's definitely repeated some of the same stories a bunch of times. It's like, all right, I get it. I mean, I feel like I've already heard most of like everything, right? Like it's just weird. Like they've just covered a lot of ground in like a few months. And I'm like, how do you, what are you going to cover a year or two from now? And same with Kevin Nash and his, Jeff Jarrett, has a lot to talk about because, there's all the business workings of TNA and there's a little bit more meat on the bone there, but I don't know.
I'm with you. I think it's interesting too. There's a lot that need a podcast. I think that a lot of stories that we're not getting, some of those guys, I think that it's a good avenue. I think, Stone Cold, whatever it is, once a month or however they're doing Broken Skull, but he's doing a lot of current wrestlers too. Like I would listen to 4 hours of Stone Cold and, some of these guys just shooting the shit, drinking beers, which I think that's what we all want. Is Becky and Charlotte great? Yeah, they got some good stories and stuff like that. But also, like, this is kind of the sweet. I feel like this is the sweet spot for you and me. Is this kind of late '90s, early 2000s of what you and I really enjoy? Oh, Michael's big dump to the outside there. Got a lot of elevation. Because you wonder, like, and a lot of them just have kind of random podcasts that may not even necessarily be about wrestling and stuff like that, but. There's a lot too where I feel like there is a lot of untold story, and that's the other thing why I feel like Mick Foley gets maybe not a bad rap but an overrated rap is because he has told those stories.
Elbow drop coming
to the concrete. Yep,
so good.
I mean, how many times and how many different clips can you see of Mankind telling these stories? It's got to be like just an exercise in insanity when he does these kind of stage shows too, of like people, you get asked the same questions for 20 years. Like that's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Nice little elbow drop there.
Oh,
yeah.
Love the old elbow drop. That wasn't his best one ever, but still pretty good.
Yeah, it was a good one though. Yep. Absolutely.
Are we ever seeing Shawn Michaels wrestle again?
Nope. I think Michaels knows he's done and that's enough. Yep. I think that he will be a great coach now that Triple H is in charge. I think that like leaving Shawn Michaels to build the NXT brand, I think that he probably had a close hand in what, when it was Triple H's show. I forget who it was, but someone was just recently quoted too as like, they could like Vince could not after Triple H's, heart attack or whatever it was episode with his heart, like they could not get down there fast enough to rip apart everything he built. And so, and I thought that was just an interesting take. And so, and Michaels has kind of unscathed this whole time, been there, he's kind of seen what's happened. And so, and now, especially with so many people returning, like the article I read not that long ago, of like Johnny Gargano, like Michaels was the one that was going to reach out to Johnny Gargano to try and get him to come back. And like, I fully believe a lot of the headlines too that say like, and even like, a lot of the wrestlers have said it, like people are more likely now to leave AEW for WWE because Vince is gone. And so I think, with that, I think Triple H is going to be perfectly happy coaching. I think that there will be stories that come out about him building, like could I have necessarily imagined Michaels being the guy to like, eventually coach hundreds of wrestlers into what they are? No, like, in this area would have never thought that. But where we are now, like he knows how to take these people, and especially like a lot of the women's wrestlers, I say a lot of quote smaller wrestlers, none of them are small, but like he knows what to do to get these people to get you invested. I do think we'll see Undertaker, but who am I? I'm just a stupid mark too. So, I know you'll probably say yes to the Shawn Michaels question.
Well, the two reasons I say that there's a possibility. One is, does he really want his final match to be that shitty tag team match?
Yep.
Okay. Number one. Number two is there ever going to be a point where his best friend says, hey, we could use you here?
I have that thought. Yeah, I could see that happening and dumping Michaels into the casket now. The look on Paul Bear's face. Great job of selling what's happening. Michaels kind of coming back. Yep.
What a war for the WWF gold!
Yeah, great move. Yep.
Oh, come on!
Crowd losing their mind for Michaels. That's what yeah.
He was over, man. I mean, he really was.
Yeah,
well, and I think you said something important earlier, but I mean, Triple H is he's gonna attract people that otherwise may have not come back. But at the same time, I think there's people that, could Triple H have convinced Steve Austin to come back? Is Triple H gonna be able to work with Brock Lesnar? Is he going to be able to work with Goldberg? I don't know. So there's it probably goes both ways. But yeah, I think overall, look, I think there's going to be a lot's going to happen, but I think overall there's a lot of positive. So table set up outside.
Here we go. Yep.
Mankind right up there with Michaels.
There it goes. Big spot, both guys through the table laid out.
The backs may be broken. Their backs may be broken. Michaels is splattered here on the concrete.
What a spot.
I think you raise an interesting point here too, and it's one that's not been talked about enough. Is for everybody that the inverse of this, for everyone that Triple H brings back and that is a Triple H fan, who isn't coming back because of Triple H? Who isn't coming back because of Shawn Michaels?
I'd say CM Punk, but I don't think he would have come back because of Vince either. So that was one that came to mind.
Well, I don't think the Undertaker would come back for him. I think
they're pretty close. See, Triple H I think he is very well liked and very well respected amongst everyone.
Okay.
I think he. Wow.
Great spot there. Yep.
Yeah, I really think that. I could be wrong, but I mean, think about it. When do you ever hear anything bad about him? Like, there's plenty of people that have bagged on Vince over the years. How many people have said, Hunter, he's a real son of a bitch, and people just love the guy.
Is it? Oh, here you go. Vader getting involved now. Like I said, they had the match previously, and there's the DQ bell ring.
Oh, it's the roll. Look at this.
Oh, Paul Bear hitting Michaels with the urn.
Did you see that? The referee didn't see it.
Oh, the match isn't over yet?
Match isn't over, but they're ringing the bell. Here's Sid now.
Psycho Sid! Wow! Shawn Michaels is out. Michaels is going to retain the title, I think, by disqualification. But that's not the story. The story are these two men and what they have gone through. And look at this, wait, Mankind on his feet. Oh, no.
Mandible claw.
That is the end. Yeah, it's going to be a DQ win for Shawn.
Mankind driving the mandible claw down into the throat, down into the gullet of Shawn Michaels, and asking for that lid to be lifted up with a casket. The lid to be lifted up by the casket.
Oh, and Taker now coming out of the casket.
How the hell did he get there? I don't believe it.
Love me a good trapdoor.
All right, we'll keep this on in the background. Let's
Keep it
jump
on, yeah.
into the aftermath.
Oh, it's time for the aftermath.
So I wanted to. I don't know how this stayed on the air for another 7 minutes. By the way,
We're going to find out. Yeah, unfortunate how it ended. Like, I get it.
it's really frustrating, right?
Yeah, it was a really good match. There was some spots that even nowadays you don't see a lot, like Michael's kind of, running over the chair and then drop kicking the chair that Mankind was holding. And so, yeah, Michael's retaining that way. And so, yeah, great match though, like really surprisingly great match. And the fans are losing their mind right now. Real happy. Yep.
WWF is great. Michael.
So if my memory serves me correctly, you couldn't have Mankind lose because they needed to keep him strong to headline Buried Alive with The Undertaker.
Yeah, the following.
You had to keep that going. Obviously, Shawn wasn't going to lose, so you had to do all this chaos. I mean, I just wonder, would it have killed Mankind to lose? And I mean, you could have still done the Taker spot where he pops out of the casket, Shawn hits the super kick, and he wins.
Yeah,
like,
you could have still kept him strong.
Yeah, you could have still had all this like crazy shit happening without this bullshit finish. But it's funny. I mean, as you're booking this, you're not thinking it, but it's like, okay, this is going to be one of the best matches really ever. I mean, it's just a great match. If it had like a killer finish, I mean, can you imagine if somehow Taker pops out, Shawn hits him, and like that's how it ends? It's like, dude, that was incredible. So it's a shame.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like we talked about on this one a little bit, this was the Mankind Undertaker rivalry continued. At that, it was the next, show, Buried Alive, or In Your House, Buried Alive. Undertaker winning the match, but you then had him still getting buried though in that one, and so you had Undertaker challenging Mankind then at that point to the match at Survivor Series, which Taker won that one. Just a lot of matches. You had the Revenge of Taker in Your House, which Undertaker won or for the championship of that one, and just a lot happening. And so you had Michaels, though, his championship reign ending at Survivor Series, so not too long after this, losing it to Sid, of course, who we saw in this match, former bodyguard of Michaels as well. Him getting it back, though, at the Rumble in 1997. But then, of course, you had the all of the fallout with Bret Hart losing his smile or had to find it again, just kind of all that playing out, the injury, all the stuff with Bret. And so interesting, but like I said, this match is just shy of greatness, unfortunately. And so PWI Shawn number 1, Mankind 45. You had just a torch on this one. You have 4 1/4 stars. The really sad thing about this event was the main event. Titan has always leaned toward heavy promotion and light delivery. With the addition of Mick Foley, they have someone who is the complete opposite of light. With Michaels as champ, they have a worker who will go the extra mile to make the main event a memorable event. The unique combination of two men's different abilities produced a bout which was perhaps the most brutal WWF bout in at least the last 10 years, perhaps of all time. Mankind took a bump to the floor, steps, table, etc. A lesser man, any other man would have been stretchered away. Michaels looked out of place early in such a bout, but won me over with his work. By the last 10 minutes, I felt it was something special that we had not seen before in this environment. But then came the ending that was bad, bad, bad. Both Mankind and Michaels deserved a lot better than that. And the quote was, "We interrupt this excellent match to return you to your regularly scheduled run-in and screw job finish," end quote. So, and the Observer, that was the Torch giving it 4 1/4. The Observer giving this one 4 3/4. Super match, but a weak ending kept it from being match of the year. So 4 1/4, 4 3/4. Tom, what are you feeling?
Man, I'll give this thing an 8 because it was a great match. 2 Hall of Famers, maybe Mick Foley's best actual wrestling match ever. So love that. Again, the finish is what kills us here. It's unfortunate. Man, to me, this is like a 9, 9.5 with a great finish, but it's an 8, and I'm probably being generous with a shitty finish. But loved it, man. I mean, great conversation, and two I think of the top 10, top 15 of all time, and it's fantastic. What about you? I'm curious. Am I being too kind?
I don't think you are, because I actually have it at an 8.5.
Wow. Okay.
Because the write-up kind of summed it up for me a little bit too. I like the different styles. This was a slow burn on this one, that it got real good the longer it went on. And so I thought that was really good. I think that there was a lot to like about this match. There was far more to like than dislike, even though the ending just sucked. And that was unfortunate. Like I said, I think that there was just so much good stuff happening, though, that it worked for me. I was really enjoying what I was seeing. So, so I'm at an 8.5 on this one. So, yep. Cool. Send them home happy, my friend.
Hey, what if they need to clean up their balls and their body hair?
Man, let's talk about balls, man. You and I we don't do it enough. I wish people knew off the air how much you and I talked about manscaping. And so I just recently did it, actually just this weekend, of course, using the lawnmower, the new one, 4.0, always good stuff. I like the light. I'm a big fan of the light in the shower. So, because I got a dark shower liner, and so I like the light there. But for those of you looking, it is going to be manscaped.com using our promo code payoff20. That's payoff20. A whole store, anything you want. You're looking at 20% off, free shipping, all of it. And so take the time to go check it out. Hey, maybe, get that early Christmas gift. Who cares that it's September? Start tucking your money away now. Getting those things now. There's all kinds of other products too. Maybe you don't want to fully commit. You just want to, dip your nuts in the water a little bit. Use Mans,
dip your nuts in the water.
Hey, that's okay. And so let's make the most of it by using that promo code payoff20, payoff20 at manscaped.com for free shipping, 20% off.
So good. All right,
buddy. Cool.
Appreciate it.
TNA next week. Yeah.
Sorry?
TNA next week. Let's do it. Let's mix it up.
I'm excited to cover TNA. It's probably going to be an awesome, awesome match, and I've certainly never seen it. So looking forward to it. As always, thank you. We'll see you next week on an all-new episode of The Payoff.